Ooh-wee. With the skulls thing, I don't know, this is Summer Skulls event, we got the Immortal Empires teaser trailer, and in this video today I want to go over this. We're going to talk about it just really quick. It's only a minute long video. It's just kind of a cool little showcasing of things. Then we're going to talk a little bit about how this hopefully kind of lines up with the roadmap, and then we're going to go into a discussion about the Immortal Empires, the map and whatnot from the leaked map, and one of the ones that's been placed on the internet as far as respective starting locations, possible starting locations for all of the legendary lords, and we'll talk a bit about how that might possibly integrate together. So that is the layout of this video today. This is pretty much just my thoughts on it. There's nothing new here. There's no brand new information. So if you came to this video hoping to get like a release date or any kind of cool insider scoop, it's just me late to the game and updating this. I got a brand new puppy, so I've been super behind on everything and I'm trying to catch up. So I just wanted to give you guys my kind of overall thoughts on the Immortal Empires teaser trailer and kind of talk about it from there. So let's go ahead and dive in on this trailer and have some fun here discussing it. It's a pretty cool hype trailer, and then we'll go into some more fun stuff about Immortal Empires. But let us get going here. I'm going to do this kind of low tech like I do. Might even, here, I'll turn this down just a little bit. And you can find this on the Total War official YouTube channel, but it's a pretty cool trailer. It just kind of shows things together, right? We get the vampire counts fighting against Cathay and ogres, and like a really cool combined little offensive here, and I love it. Like, this is, I think, one of my favorite things about anything like this is like just to kind of see like this level of like cinematic portrayal, because you get a lot of these when in the old White Dwarfs or the old army books for oh man, Bretonnians and Nurgle and Skaven. For Warhammer Fantasy, you got to see all this stuff together, and they would make these cool dioramas of all these combined offensives against two factions. So it's just really cool to see it together. Dark Elves and Lizard Men and Empire and Big Daddy Franzia. Say it.
Summon the Elector Counts.
Fuck. So the Immortal Empires, this is teaser trailer for it. So of course we don't have any information. Join the open beta in Q3 of 2022. This kind of lines up with the roadmap we got. And again, there's nothing here to really see. Maybe there is. Maybe there's something and I just don't see it. And maybe there was on the Reddit and I haven't seen it just yet either. But just, you know, those are the siege engines. I mean, this is just some standard Skaven stuff, so nothing revealed here. Just a very, very cool, well put together trailer showing off some double front faction fighting here. But just kind of want to show this off. Let's talk now about that roadmap really quick here, because that kind of plays into what we were just talking about, right? Because we're in the end of Q2. Q3 doesn't start until July 1st. And we already have this free LC, the Regiments of Renown numero uno, the auto-resolve improvements, the improvements to single entity unit combat, tech tree reworks, and AI anti-player bias. I did do that stream yesterday, kind of showing off the game and talking a little bit about things. And from what I experienced, which was a very limited bit of playing, to be 100% transparent, things felt better. I felt like I was not being pushed as much, but the scope of that stream was a learn to play Total War Warhammer 3. So I was playing on normal to exemplify certain things. So at that point, I'm not really going to get a ton of AI pressure. So go ahead and let me know in the comment section below what you feel about 1.2. Has it been really tickling your pickle? Because we'll hopefully be coming into 1.3 here with Q3 2022. And what this means is changes, of course, to be determined. But we get the free LC Regiments of Renown level 2, and that brings more to the game, which I think is really needed. We really need those Regiments of Renown because it really fleshes out a roster and makes it feel more alive outside of all the many Lord packs that we got from Warhammer 2. Well, in Warhammer 2 that fleshed out the rosters. And I mean, if you guys remember, jumping from Warhammer 1 into Warhammer 2 was kind of like a salty ship when it comes to the Mortal Empires coming out. And I think we'll talk about that when we go to the map, but things feel so different when you're playing with races that have had all this fleshing out across Lord packs, and then you're back to these just base game races that just kind of have basic bitch level, like, hey, here's just my first level of troops. I don't have all the FLC and DLC love that just fills out that roster. So I think Immortal Empires will feel weird for all the Warhammer 3 factions, and we'll talk about that more in a bit, like I said. But Tzeentch and Slaanesh replenishment rates, and also update 2.0, the Immortal Empires beta that was talked about. The Blood Pack will finally be coming. I don't know why that needs to wait through all these series of iterations. But then the Old World update for the Warriors of Chaos, and then a Lord Pack DLC, which has been heavily hinted in that blog post of the roadmap, as well as across the whole community, that it will be Warriors of Chaos related. And I'm really excited for that. That is very, very, very cool. And I want to see more of it. And I'm sure Q4 seems like it's kind of a catch-all to what doesn't get done in Q3, because I don't know if we'll see a full-fledged launch of Immortal Empires in Q3 or if they'll hold it to Q4. It'll be interesting to see how that kind of plays itself out. But we also have the last free LC, Regiments of Renown. And I'm assuming that this will have Regiments of Renown linked to the actual DLC itself, as to be expected. Probably any new units that are added in with the Warriors of Chaos Old World update, or if this Lord Pack is indeed Old World Warriors of Chaos, any new units, like I said, would probably have their adjoining Regiments of Renown, stuff like that. And if it is Warriors of Chaos 2, I would imagine stuff like Khorne, Regiments of Renown, Warriors, stuff like that. And I don't know how many times I can say the term stuff like that, but I'm guaranteed to say it at least 4 more times this video. And again, just kind of wondering how much is going to be hinged upon the Warriors of Chaos. And I think that is okay, because it's a game 1 launch faction that has needed an overhaul for ages, and it has one of the saddest rosters according to how big its roster could be as far as the potential from the tabletop. So that's our discussion here for Immortal Empires and the actual roadmap. Let's switch gears now and talk about the map itself and have a quick discussion about what Immortal Empires will probably feel like, and also a discussion about possible starting locations and whatnot and what have you. And to talk about this section, we'll be using the fun art of Paint. Windows Paint, serving you since 82, who knows. But we'll be using this here to talk about everything. This is the leaked map, and someone on, I think it was Reddit or the forums, placed pretty much all of the corresponding legendary lords that we currently know and where they are on their map from the Immortal Empires from 2, or roughly maybe where they might be if it's a lore standpoint. So taking a look at this, and I've circled where they put the demon legendary lords. I think we can expect Cathay to be over here as always, and we have, you know, the Mountains of Morn, where we have Greasus, and then we have Scrag over here in the Old World. So as it stands, the question will really be kind of how these new lords will place themselves in the map, the Lord Pack, and how the existing ones will. And I think that this is a pretty conservative assessment of where all the Chaos Lords would start. I think that's kind of a cool spot for them, and I think it makes sense because this is where they were on their Warhammer 3 respective locations. It's pretty much what it would be blown out to this leaked map, right? I mean, we both have the Cathayan Lords starting on the western portion of Cathay against the Great Bastion, or down here in the Warpstone Desert. So this makes sense, and having Snikch over here, I think, is good to kind of keep that Skaven antagonistic relationship in Cathay from a lore perspective and what have you. And I think also keeping Tzeentch in this area would be good. We've had Tzeentch having incursions against the Great Bastion plenty of times in the lore, and it just makes sense to keep that relationship going. It also gives a little presence of chaos on that northern world's edge. That's not what I meant to say. The northern portion of the map. Also, and again, I think right now this makes sense for Greasus, because I would assume or hope we get another ogre or two up and down the Mountains of Morn somewhere along these lines. Now, of course, we do have Ind here. Look at this. I don't know why I decided to write it. And we do have Koresh, which I'm not even going to bother writing. I'll just put a KH there. Yep, there it is. And we'll see how these flesh themselves out. It looks like that's kind of like a hard line, but they're still kind of there. That's hopeful. And also, we get this whole southern pole down here, which is really cool. So I think what would be kind of cool is to see one of 4 of the demon legendary lords. Well, I'll say one of the 5, because there are 5, but one of these 4 down here in the south. Like, it'd be cool to see Scarbrand over here, right? Like, put Scar here, or even here in the Southlands. I think those 2 regions could be a really fun location for Scarbrand to have, and a different start. I think that this is so overloaded with chaos, because of course it's Norsca, it's the Chaos Wastes. It makes sense that it would be overloaded with chaos, but maybe it's too overloaded with chaos. And I like this as a perspective starting location for Slaanesh, because I think it's a fun location. It gives him a lot of opportunity into Nagaroth, Nagaron, and down here into Ulthuan. But I'd rather he just started like somewhere in this general vicinity. Like, put him there. Like, I feel like I'm like John Madden. Like, yeah, he did a flip 22 6 kick, and he's barrel rolled. And I think that, like, ooh. I think that kind of move would make for a little bit more fun and excitement, rather than, okay, hey, I've got easy snatch and grabs with these Norscan factions around me, which do give me possible vassalization options with the seduction mechanic, which I think is great. I think that could really, really work. But I think that those Norscan factions will be just fine there if he's down here. Because if you think about it, when we're playing Warhammer 3, Nakari starts in the Northern Chaos Wastes. That's Norsca. In the Northern Chaos Wastes, and he just pulls a bunch of vassalization and opinion from all the Norscans in Norsca. So I think that just moving him down here, he's still within range of Norscans over here, Norscans over here, Norscans over here. So I think that there's still plenty of fun to be had if you just pop Nakari down just directly into this area, give him right into the thick of things. And I think the way that you could easily do that, move Big Daddy Tretch to his cultural home, bring him back over here. If we put Tretch in that location, I think it frees up a little bit of Skaven aggression over here. It minces up this territory, and it gives Nakari a chance to either be right where Tretch is, or it reduces the amount of Legendary Lord overlap in this area, and I think that that's pretty crucial. And then I think for this, at that point, you could then put Kugoth wherever, or if they did like a Festus, he could be anywhere in this northern region here and not have to feel like he's got to contend immediately with Khorne or immediately with Slaanesh. Even further over, the Demon Prince could have more of a starting point in the Northern Chaos Wastes, further away from an Archaon over here, giving a little bit more breathing room. I think that's kind of crucial, is that there needs to be a little bit of breathing room between these Chaos factions, because they're so dependent upon their Chaos corruption that if it tightly overlaps, it just becomes a game of, okay, I've now expanded that region. I now have to combat the corruption, convert it before I have to deal with anything else. Also, we do have Scrag down here. I don't really see a problem with Scrag in this location. He could be here. He could be over in this region. You could move the Golden Order if you so wish. But I think that you could have plenty of locations for Scrag to possibly start, and I think that makes him kind of a fun wild card. There's Golg Maneater, who I don't know if I want to say the last part because he's like got the dreaded name of demonetization. But Golg Maneater could also be a legendary lord for the ogres that could be plopped anywhere on the map, because he is a mercenary. He's had a lot of interaction with Karak Azul, so you could put him down over here and he could be fighting Thorek, because him and Thorek have always kind of gone at it. So I like that as a possible kind of a wild card ogre character that can just be placed anywhere on the map. So overall, though, I think that Kislev can be in these locations. I would like to see probably Boris starting right on the other end of the World's Edge Mountains, like we've seen him kind of do when it comes to a lore perspective of going into the, I think the Far Side colonies is what they're called, which is around like right over here. Right around this area, kind of, give or take. I don't really know where the mountains are. I think the mountains are right, I think they're right here, like in that kind of a line. So starting right on the other side of those mountains in the Far Side colony could be a lot of fun. Now we do know, of course, we got the Chaos Dwarves, which will eventually come right there, right? So that's one thing to consider, which could also very much sway wherever you'd put Boris, because I'm not really sure where you'd drop Boris on this map. He'd have to be somewhat close to Kislev, I would think. He could be even in the Northern Chaos Wastes. It's like, oh, I went out to the Northern Chaos Wastes for whatever reason, and after you get shattered out of ice, why not do it? So we'll have to kind of see how he gets placed on this map, and then what will be the respective new legendary lords, right? So let's kind of look at this from, let's choose, let's go that color. Let's say we're talking about the 4 primary legendary lords of the Warriors of Chaos that we've talked about, right? Azazel, Village, Festus, and Valkia. Those are my 4 big picks, right? And I think those are community consensus. That seems to be the ones that most people are kind of rallying after. I know some people want to see maybe the Mask or the Changeling, other things here, but Village is the Changeling, sorry. But still, I think that those are my 4 big picks for legendary lords for the Warriors of Chaos. So probably 2 of them in some variation, way, shape, or form. And I think a location over here for Valkia could make sense over in Norska because she has such a huge hand in her interaction with Norskins and with Norskin lore as a kind of instrument through Khorne. So I would love to see her kind of in this region or around this region to kind of have some sort of influence onto that. Now for Village, I would like to see Village just pretty much somewhere in the old world, having some sort of upheaval or causing some sort of mayhem, because he does interact so heavily with the old world, right? The world that kind of spurned him. And I think that could be a lot of fun. Now, Festus, you could put here in the Southlands. You could put, in the Southlands, you could put him down in Lustria. Lustria is kind of a cluster though, right? So it's kind of a little bit of a catch-22, but I think Festus could be in a lot of different regions. He could even be a little bit of an additional antagonist over here in the Mountains of Morn into both the Ogres and Cathay as well as Tzeentch, kind of give a little bit of a presence or a little bit of a beating to them. Now, Azazel is interesting too, because Azazel kind of has a lot of interaction between Norska and the old world, and I think maybe placing Azazel in the old world as well might just kind of create too much of like a chaos presence in the old world, like right down and dirty, overlap too fast, too furious. And I think that one is fine. You could put him kind of in the Drakenwall Forest, up in the north, contend with the Wood Elves, whatever it is, but I think that putting, Azazel right here and then Village right here, it's just too much on top of already the electric counts around them. And then you've got Wood Elves on the northwest. You got Wood Elves now to the southeast with Draika, all this stuff that kind of, I think, creates too jammed up of a situation. These are supposed to be boxes and it just looks like I'm drawing weird D's. So maybe Azazel's here in the Southlands, kind of playing around with some of the open area that he can play around with here. Or maybe Azazel is again over here in the more northern regions, closer to a Kugoth. So he has some fun in the sun over in this region. Now it is still kind of jammed up, but I think there's enough kind of NPC factions around that it can have for a little bit more interesting of a playthrough rather than kind of being jammed up to across so many legendary lords in the heart of the old world. So that's my opinion on, how they should maybe really work with this, or what I kind of feel might change, or how, based off of this map alone, that's really what I'm going off of. I was like, these are pretty good locations here, right? I think a lot of it makes sense for Cathay and Kislev. I don't think there's much reason to touch most of it, but I think with the demons, you can get kind of wild and horny and put them in places that they maybe shouldn't seemingly be. You could even put Kugoth down here in Lustria as a really cool way to be just directly up against Clan Pestilence, or maybe him and Clan Pestilence have a natural alliance. And I think that could be a really cool, fun, different way to do things. You could even use this southern pole to more things as well. You could put Azazel down here. What is this? What is that? You could put Azazel down here if you so wish. You could put Festus down here if you so wish. Like, I think that this southern pole is a really cool kind of fun, again, wild card starting location for maybe characters that don't need to start in a very specific spot. 10-1 is a really good option here too. That's 10-1. Is that 10-1? No, it's not. It's tic-tac-toe. That's what I meant to say. Tic-tac-toe. 10-1's over there. So tic-tac-toe could be cool over there. Just again, as another just character that doesn't need to be bound to a specific location, or putting tic-tac-toe over here to have him kind of say that he was over by the temples of Koresh and whatnot, somewhere that is a little bit more unique and different. So go ahead and let me know in the comment section below what you are feeling for some of the starting locations, or what lords you feel are coming with that Lord DLC, which two, and what kind of characters do you want to really be placed around? Is there certain things that you want to see in specific location? Like, you know what? If N'Kari is not directly on Ulthuan, it's bust. And that's happened in the lore. N'Kari broke out of the Great Vortex and he infiltrated and attacked Ulthuan multiple times across the Tyrion and Teclis books by William King. So we've seen it before. It can happen again through whatever kind of what-if scenario that these worlds really create. And I think that's a really important way to look at the Immortal Empires map, is that this is a what-if scenario, not a down, tried and true lore representation of how these things interact, because that's Warhammer. Warhammer in a nutshell is, hey, you know what? You got an army, I got this army, let's fight each other. And we'll make a what-if scenario of us fighting at the Battle of Baton Ridge or whatever the hell, you know? Like, that's the kind of the point of it. That's what Andy Hall was saying, like, you know what? A lot of the fights in the books for the lore, those were just us play testing the book, me and, you know, whatever mate fighting and kind of saying, oh, okay, well, this is where High Elves and Lizardmen fought right here, and we'll make this a battle, and we'll say this was the outcome, and this person died, and we'll kind of dramatize that conflict we had, which is so fucking cool. I love that he told us that. But overall, too, I think that we have to kind of pad our expectations for the Immortal Empires, with Warhammer 3's factions, I mean. Because I think when we get Immortal Empires, we won't touch the Warhammer 3 factions in Immortal Empires. Just like Mortal Empires came out, and the factions that we were playing in 2 felt so much less enjoyable, because now I had a full-fledged roster to deal with on any of the previous ones, right? I could jump back into Bretonnia in its full rank and file glory. I could have all my fun with the dwarfs that I wanted to. I could just now interact with some of the Game 2 races. So I think that Immortal Empires will be a very strong step forward for Warhammer 3, but I don't think it's the ultimate fix, right? I think that once it kind of exits beta and comes into a better phase, which is good, it's going into a beta, right? Mortal Empires just launched with all of its bugs and issues, and it was still kind of a work in progress for many years, right? We had long wait times, turn times. It was very much a long process to get Mortal Empires to where it's at now, which is an amazing state. And that's something that Indie Pride said in his videos that I resonated with so well. Like, that's such a good point that I didn't even think about, is that Immortal Empires will probably be a cluster. And it's a good thing that it's coming out as a beta first and then a full-fledged launch. But I think that as a beta, even as a full-fledged launch, we're all going to be playing the Warhammer 2 factions far more than the 3s until those 3s get their overhauls, their increases to their troop counts and whatnot and what have you. But as always, guys, thank you so much for watching here today. Let me know what your thoughts are below. Any kind of things you'd like to see different on the map, what you kind of have in mind, whatever it is. But as always, thank you so much for watching. Have a good one and take care.